So now we're gonna go ahead and get started. So firstly, hi to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on our webinar on improving team communication with monday.com. I'm Jess, I'm a customer success manager here at monday.com, and I'm very excited to have you with me today. On your screen, you should have a chat window. So please feel free to go in and write any updates there. Any comments, any notes that you have, feel free to write them in there. And you also will have a Q&A section, a little box. So feel free to go in, write any questions that you have throughout the entire webinar in the Q&A section, and we'll get to that at the end. So feel free to write it in there. I will also have my colleague on with me. So my colleague Ariel is going to be answering as well throughout the webinar. So if you see Ariel answering, you know that he's also from monday.com. And fantastic. I have some people who can't hear us. Let me just, can some people just go ahead and let me know that they can hear me properly? Sound is fine. Okay, great. So I have lots of people saying that they can hear me. That's amazing. Wonderful. Okay, so today's webinar is going to be focused on improving team communication with monday.com. We're going to focus on the following topics. So we're going to cover some of the basics. We're going to discuss effective internal communication, both on a micro level as well as a high level. We're going to discuss communicating and notifying of these tasks and updates using automations and integrations, amongst other things. We're going to talk about communication with external clients, and we're also going to touch on other powerful communication tools such as Search Everything, My Week, charts, and some other things. Okay, so and then we're going to lastly dive into a Q&A section at the end, where we will try and answer them throughout the webinar as well. But in case we the Q&A follow-up knowledge base where you can go and check out articles and tutorials. We also have more webinars, so under the webinars. We can also have customer inspiration where you can find at monday.com/stories. And we're also available 24/7 at support@monday.com. So you can find us in those places, but hopefully we'll have all your questions answered today. Sorry, I do hear that people are saying there's an issue with the sound. Let me take a quick look. Okay, I do have some people saying it's okay, some people saying it's not. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry if you can't hear me properly, but if it's really bad, continue writing in there, and I'll make sure to check it out sometime. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's actually get started here. So if you've worked anywhere in any industry, any vertical, you'll know how important communication is and what an integral part of success. Not communicating can cause mistakes, can cause wasted times, misunderstandings, and cause an unpleasant working environment. Communication is vital to teamwork, to align everyone and have them working towards a common goal. It's also a super important aspect in increasing transparency and accountability, which are values that we here at monday.com really try to hold ourselves to. The purpose of this webinar is to show us how monday.com can be used as a central communication platform to channel the most effective communication within teams and within the entire company, and to show how it can really help you to eliminate repetition of messaging, multiple channels, avoid those inevitable mistakes due to manual communication, save you time, and really make sure that you get working on things that matter the most. The idea here is really to start moving away from emails, from instant messaging, from spending so much time searching for things, to have everything in its place and work in context. We really believe that having everything in an organized way will lead to greater collaboration. And we believe in kind of creating new processes for new habits of communication. So that's what we'll be discussing today. Let's jump right into our account. I'm going to take you into our board that we're going to be using today. Okay, great. So today is an advanced webinar, so many of you probably played around with the platform or at least had kind of a view into what it looks like. So we're really going to focus less on how you build up your board, but more about how to use these boards and the platform for communicating. This is going to be my use case, which is a creative request board. For those of you that aren't familiar with creative requests, a creative request is a document that's usually put together by a requester. The requester can be a client, a marketing team, account managers, and this will map out all the details of the desired creative project at hand. Then we'll have the creative teams, designers, or maybe agencies who will be working on these projects. And they'll use the creative request to organize their upcoming projects, to manage the creative production process from the beginning until the end. So we have multiple teams working together, and communicating here is super important. So this is my board, just to kind of show you. We have new requests that come in, this week's requests, next week's requests, and completed requests. We have our people column, which we'll speak a little bit about later on, as well as status columns. We love the status columns, and they really add a lot and make the board very visual. We have some dates, and along with many other columns, which we're not going to go through today. If you haven't yet checked them out, definitely check out our column center. You can find that by clicking on the plus sign over there. And of course, going to our other advanced webinars as well. So as you kind of know, the very essence of monday.com is really built to enable transparent, clear communication. Using some features in the platform and columns on the boards themselves, we can really promote effective communication through simple actions. So this is what we really like to call effective communication through action. The first action that is very important to get things in order on your account would be to create teams. Setting up teams is usually done when you're just setting up your account, and it will provide organization to the entire account and clarity, of course, on who is in what team and what everyone's role is. This is also going to be very helpful later on, which we're going to see how later on. But to create those teams, we're going to go into teams. We're going to go to our avatar. We're going to go to teams, and we're going to just go ahead and create a new team through here. I've already got a team set up, but you can easily create those teams over there. Great, let's go back in. So that's the first step here. Actions that we really like to encourage is using the board themselves for communication, but more using the structure of the boards, having columns that will really communicate important pieces of information. The first one we're going to speak about is status changes. So as I mentioned before, we have a lot of status columns. You can see that they're used for multiple different purposes here. We have our platform, content type, but we also have them as the different phases and the status of those different phases. So we have content stage or status, the design status, and the final review status. Making sure that these are up to date, that people are constantly going in and making sure that they're changing the status whenever something is changed will enable each team member to really communicate this to their team leads. And it will, of course, really narrow down or reduce the amount of sync meetings or emails that need to get sent back and forth to find out where each person is at on each of these projects. So this is really going to be important to communicate to team leads and also to really reduce time here. The next thing that we're going to discuss here is deadline setting. So deadline setting, definitely not to be overlooked. Again, it's really great for setting expectations, for encouraging that transparency, and of course for making sure that no information is lost here. So sometimes, you know, you might set a deadline as a manager and not communicate this to the rest of the team. So this will enable you to kind of no longer have those team members who didn't get the memo, who weren't informed of specific deadlines, because it's all going to be accessible, very clear and transparent for the entire team to see. This is my published date, but you can have this as your due date or deadline or anything else that you'd like here. Again, very, very important for team leads, for managers or superiors. One other column that we're going to discuss for now is the people column. This is something that we absolutely love. We use extensively here at monday.com. One of our values here is ownership and ownership of projects. And so we use the people column to really communicate that. So instead of kind of assigning an entire team, which is definitely possible, we have our people column. We can go ahead and assign a person here, but we can also go ahead and assign a team. And while that might be really great, going ahead and assigning a team, we highly encourage assigning one person to be the owner or the main person responsible for this project. We know that having one person assigned to projects really will help push the project, move it forward, and get it to completion. We've definitely had experience here in sitting in meetings where great ideas are discussed, but unless you've actually set action items and you've assigned specific people to the task, it's not going to go anywhere. So this is highly, highly valued here. And another fun tip that we like to use, and I'm happy to share that with you here, is having a buddy or a helper. And this doesn't mean that they're going to be the only person responsible for the task here, but actually they're just going to work with the designer here, and they're going to make, either it's going to be to review it, or they're going to work, collaborate really half and half. They're going to do 50% of the work. But the point here is to really make sure that there's one person working on it, but that there's a buddy or a helper who will always be there in case the person gets stuck, any questions, or they just need some help with getting the task done. So that's just a fun pro tip that we like to use. Great. So we've discussed the actual structure of the board, but let's talk about communicating on a low level. So encouraging really context-specific communication about specific tasks or projects. That can also be done in your actual your board. So again, no need for sending emails about a specific project, about a specific creative request. This can all be done through the update section. So if I click inside of the actual task, I'm going to have a update section open up. And in the update section, we can do a lot of things. The first is really we can just communicate here with our team members. So we can mention or tag people. We can do that by using the @ sign. Let's go ahead and assign and tag Ariel here. Ariel is the team lead of the creative team. So we can go ahead and ask him what, maybe we need some help. Are you able to help out here? Or maybe we kind of want to do a to-do list or a checklist. So we can do that here as well. We can do that using the checklist. The checklist is really fun. As soon as we go ahead and add it, checklist, you're going to see this indication over here on the actual name of the item itself. And as we start marking these off, you're also going to see that indicated. So that's a really, really powerful tool to make sure that you're on top of things. But also the update section is really, really powerful for adding update files, attachments, images, and so on. So we can see here that we can add files from our computer, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box.com, and we also have a new integration, which is OneDrive. Super, super helpful when you want to have everything stored in context. And that is something I'm going to repeat many times. We really, really value having our communication in context. Any file that has to do with this specific project will go here. But we also, of course, have other ways, which I'm going to show you where you can add your files. Oh, we see Ariel thumbed up your update. So this is really great, instant. We can see that Ariel just read that, he thumbed it up. Another way that I can actually see that Ariel saw my update would be using this eye icon. So we can see that Ariel's seen it and he's also liked it. And that's really, really great. He also replied to me here. For sure, happy to help with anything. I'll have this done by tomorrow. Great, so communication in context. I was showing you before that we also have the info box where we can add notes, add files, and add Q&As as well. So anything that has to do with a specific project would be really great to add in over here. One other place that we like to put in Another layer of communication, or another layer of details, would be by using the doggy ears. So we kind of call it doggy ears of the status column. You can see that if you hover your mouse here over the right corner of the status label, you're going to be able to click inside there and write a note. So let's go in here. And here I'm going to be able to also tag, add files, and so on. So this is really helpful, for example, if I'm the designer and I want to go ahead and let the, again, Ariel know, for example, that it's ready for review. So I can do that here. So here we go. Ariel, ready for review. Take it from here. And again, we can add files, and we can add checklists and so on. As soon as we add it, we're going to see this little doggy ear. Again, that's what we call it. So you're going to be able to know that that there's some communication going on. And this is not only about the specific item, but it's also about the specific status. So again, it allows you that another layer of communication. Great. So that's a little bit about the low level or context specific communication. What happens if you want to communicate more on a high level or discuss certain topics that don't have to do with maybe an item or a project, but more kind of the general topic? So that can be done in multiple ways. The first way that we can do that is using a general or discussion section on the board. If you scroll down on my board, it's actually at the bottom, but I'm going to bring it up to the top. Great. So here I have a general section. A general section allows me to have my guideline and processes. I also have a section here for updates, daily updates, anything that's important for creative requests for a specific day. And I also have a discussion section. So this is really great. You can go in here, add some notes, add again any files, and this can be used really as a platform for communicating within your team. So you can tag each other, mention each other. Again, no need to kind of have these team meetings all the time. You can do a lot of the stuff on the platform. And of course, if you do need to have a team meeting, you can also do that and add your any of the updates from that team meeting over here for anyone who missed it, recordings, and so on. That's one way. This is one way that we actually use it on all our boards. So every board that we kind of set up in Monday, we also have a general discussion section. Another way is to have a board specifically used for discussions and questions. So this can be such as different departments being set up as groups. And I'm going to give you, just show you one of my boards that I set up here. This is the cross-departmental talks board. Here we've got every department as a group. So we have our marketing, we have our client-facing, HR, R&D, IT, operations, and more. This is a fantastic board when you want to encourage cross-department collaboration. So not only within your teams, but often different teams work together. This board is going to allow you to do that. And again, this is going to act as a central hub for having all of your updates, any questions on one board. Sorry about that. So this is great. So I just got some examples here, blog collaboration, social media postings, YouTube, Subway campaign. So anyone, for example, on the CS team that has someone reaching out or interested in a blog collaboration can come in, post the update, mention the marketing team, and they'll be notified of it. So a great way to really boost cross-department collaboration, to encourage discussion, to encourage different teams to get to know each other. Great. Another helpful board is having boards specifically for brainstorming or for kind of daily updates or even questions. This is my board that I made specifically for marketing. We've got all our daily highlights per week. We've got brainstorming sessions, and we've got questions board. So anyone who is on the marketing team can go in here, can check out what was said in any sessions, what updates we have, or to ask their questions, and this will be asked to the team. So it's really, really helpful. this is one of these, and another way that we kind of use more high-level communication to discuss certain topics that are important within our teams. And lastly, the last thing we're going to go through here is our master document board. So whenever we're communicating in any brainstorming sessions and so on, a lot of times we're sending files and attachments, pictures, and so on. And these often get lost in long email threads and so on. And so this is really going to allow you to have all your documents in one place. These can be specific to to sales, to marketing, and so on. And you can just go ahead and add your files to the files column. Again, you can go ahead and group them differently. Maybe you want to group them by different years, different quarters, and so on. Here we've got them grouped by presentation, guidelines, blog examples, banner examples, and so on. But you can really customize the boards, but you can make anything that you really want out of it. You can see that I've gone from using the update section to communicate internally with my team, to using a general group for discussion, to having entire boards to communicate on a more high level, macro level, to communicate about topics. Let's jump back into them. So now that we've gone ahead and we've assigned people to specific tasks, or we mentioned them, how are they going to be notified about this? This is something we're going to discuss now. So we're going to talk about the different ways that people are notified about mentions, about being assigned, about being replied to, and so on. The first way is through the bell notification center. So if you see here on the side, we got the bell notification. We just saw that Ariel both liked my update, but he also went and replied to me. The bell notification is going to show any notifications that are relevant to me. These notifications are by default, and they're going to include when I'm assigned to an item, when I'm mentioned in an update or replied to an item, when I'm mentioned in a team, or when I'm subscribed to items, and more. So that's what's going to show me here. If we scroll down, you'll see all of that I've been assigned to. And let's take an example just to see what I mean by communication in context. Whenever I'm assigned to an item, I'm going to click on there and it's going to take me directly to that specific board, to that item, and I'm going to see exactly what I was assigned to. Another way that we get notifications is through email notifications. So email notifications is also by default. Whenever we get a bell notification, we're going to get an email. You can manage your email notifications by going to your profile, notifications, and here you can make sure to mark off when you want to get email notifications and when you don't. I've got them all off because I actually use the platform to receive all of my notifications, so I don't need email. But that is another way. If you are working from your email, you can always have it there as well. Great. So the next topic, notification we're going to discuss is automations. Automations is great if you want to automate a lot of manual labor. And again, I'm going to repeat the reducing the amount of mistakes that are made through just human error. So for example, forgetting to update, forgetting to check in, things like this. So we can go ahead and automate a lot of these notifications. To do that, we're going to go in to our notifications here. Sorry, our automation center, which you can find using that little robot icon. We're going to go ahead and click in notifications, or you can type it in on the search bar. We have loads of different options for automations, and today we're going to focus only on notifications. But here, if I scroll down, I'm going to select one specific one that I want to show you today, which is when a new item is created, notify someone. So whenever a new creative request is created on this board, I'm going to notify my team leader, which is going to be Ariel. So hi, new request is in. Please assign a designer. Cool. So we're going to go in here and we're going to set that up. And then we're going to decide who we want to notify. So I can notify myself, or I can notify a team member, and we're going to go ahead and notify Ariel. Now, once we add it to our board, we're going to see all the automations we have on the board. Today, I'm not going to take you through too many, but as you can see, I do want to show you a few more important ones that I've got set up here. One of them would be having a notification go out to the designer 2 days before the publish date to make sure that he's on time, that everything is going to be set based on the time. So we're going to go ahead and 2 days before the publish date arrives, notify the designer. Again, you can customize the message here. Every time you have a line, you're going to need to customize it and fill it in. So here we're going to go 2 days before at 8 a.m. The publish date arrives, notify designer, whoever is assigned as the designer. Another one we have here is every month on the 31st. So we're going to notify Ariel, who's going to need to draft a report. So that's about setting up automations and reducing manual work on your boards. Another way we can actually expand or extend our communication internally is through integrating with other platforms. So one such integration that really works well here with monday.com is the Slack integration. And this allows us to have instant notifications sent out to teams and specific team members. This is really helpful if you want to have a notification go out in specific urgent situations, maybe when you receive specific creative requests, or if you want to celebrate every time you have a task completed, and so on. I'm going to show you how to set up a Slack integration. So you can, next to the automation, you have your integration center. We're going to go and search for Slack. We have loads more integrations, which I encourage you to check out through the integration center. It might not be Slack that you want to integrate with, but we do integrate with loads of other platforms. Today, we're just going to focus on Slack. And what I want to go ahead and show you is we here love to celebrate whenever we complete a project. So let's go ahead and use this specific recipe. When a status changes to something, notify channel. Once I click on it, I'm going to have to connect my Slack account. And I'm going to customize it much in the same way that I did the automation. So I'm going to, when the final review status changes to done, I'm going to notify. Again, I can customize the message or I can leave it as is. And now I'm going to choose which Slack channel I want to notify in. So let's go ahead and search for our marketing channels. Maybe I want to use the marketing messaging, marketing onboarding, and so on. Now let's go ahead and just use the marketing messaging. And there we go. Once I update the integration, we're going to see this integration completed over there. And that's how we would set up an integration and encourage or expand our internal communication. So we covered internal communication. Now let's touch briefly on external communication with clients that are outside of your account, outside of your team. One way that we can do that, again, is using integrations. So we love to use our Gmail integration, or we have an Outlook integration as well. We're going to just quickly show you how that works. I'm going to select Gmail. This is really, really helpful if I have a client that sent in a request for a creative request. And let's say we want to notify whenever the status is review or needs to be reviewed or when it's completed. So we can go ahead and set this up. Again, I'm going to connect to my Gmail account. When a status, my final review status changes to done, I'm going to send an email. I'm going to just customize that to, let's go here, hi there. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and select who we want to send this out to. So we might want to send it out to the actual person who requested this, which is really great. We can send out to the requester email. And now the person who actually sent in this request is going to get notified that it's done and he can go ahead and review it. So that's how we can also not only communicate internally with your Monday, with your teams, but also communicate externally as well. Great. So we have a couple of minutes left, and I would love to just talk you through 2 or 3 more powerful tools on the platform that you can use for communication before we jump over to questions. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you're putting them into the Q&A section, not into the chat, because we are going to go through all questions that are posted in the Q&A section. So we have other tools that you can use to really empower and boost your communication. One such thing is the update section. So again, we've mentioned this multiple times that we often communicate through emails. We send multiple different files and updates, and finding them is really super inefficient, super time consuming, and we really want to eliminate that. So if you have everything on the platform, there's an easy way to search it, find your updates, find your files, and that is using Search Everything. So let's go ahead and search for, let's say banner, and we want to search not only in our boards, but we want to search the updates. So we can go ahead and use this little update section to make sure we're searching through all the updates on all the boards for this specific term. And the Search Everything will pull together everything that was that mentioned the board banner. We can also sort it by relevance or by time, if I wrote it, if it has links, if I didn't reply to it, and so on. We can also do that using files. So we can search using files, for example, and return our boards or our account into the Files hub. Again, no more needing to search through loads of email threads. Here, you're going to save yourself a lot of time. You're going to have much better communication with your team and a much better time, easier time to get things done. We also know, everyone I'm sure here has experienced what it is when you have a manager, when you have a boss that you constantly have to have one-on-one syncs with to keep him in the loop of what you're working on, or the status of your specific project. And again, they're sometimes very time-consuming and inefficient. So using the My Week widget, My Week is both found here. We have a My Week section, but I want to actually show you guys more about My Week on the dashboards. If you aren't familiar with dashboards, I highly recommend that you check it out. This is a very powerful tool, especially for reporting, for overviews, and there's loads of different widgets that you can add to a dashboard. Today we're going to focus only on a couple of them, but I definitely encourage you to check out our dashboards webinar, or just play around with it yourself by adding a dashboard and by adding more widgets, which you can do by just clicking here. So My Week widget will allow us to really, or more so will allow your team lead to get a nice overview of everything that his team members are working on and how far along they are in getting completed. So without even having to have these one-on-one syncs, saving him time. So here he can decide on who he wants to follow. So using that little settings button, he can decide which team members he wants to follow, who's in the team. We can also decide if you want to, if you're interested in seeing all different dates, so any tasks that have a date, or any tasks that have due dates. And then it will show us everything that we're running late on, that we're on time, and that we need to have done ASAP. So here we can see all my tasks for myself, but also for Ariel. And we can also see where they are. So this is, for example, due today. It's still in brainstorming. This is due tomorrow, waiting for a response. And you can go ahead and open them up to see more details, and really link back into the board and constantly have this communication and overview, seeing where everyone is at without actually needing to have meetings. The last thing we're going to touch on today is the ability to use reporting to understand and communicate your team members' availability. So communicating to your team lead is not always so easy when you're overworked or when you have too much going on, and we really understand that. And so the chart widget allows you to really have this data to really spare those uncomfortable situations or conversations, and if you do have them, to really make sure that they're backed up by data. So using this chart widget, we're going to be able to see who of our team members has been assigned a lot of tasks, who's maybe needs to receive less tasks next time, who we can assign more tasks to, and so on. This is great for resource planning and really having that overview, again, without needing to constantly check in with your team members as well. So here we can see the breakdown. To set it up, I'm going to add the chart view. So I'm going to add the chart view over there. I'm going to customize that. I'm going to choose my boards, for example. Okay, I'm going to decide on my label. So I want to see the people column. Where is our people column? Okay, let's just go back onto our other one that I've set up already. Here we're going to be able to see the people column, and we're going to see that Jessica now has 37% of the tasks, while Matthew has 20, but we really see that Shelly has a lot of capacity now to take something on, so we can plan accordingly. And on this note, I do want to mention that very soon we have another really awesome feature that's about to come out, which is the resource allocation widget. So we're going to be releasing that very soon, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, this can also act as a really great replacement or as working together, so that you have both and can really use these tools to see a high-level view of where everything's at. Great, so just to wrap it up, we went through internal communication, both on a high level and on a low level. We saw how we can use the structure of the board itself to really communicate to our teams. We saw how we can use the account to communicate across the entire company. And we also saw other helpful tools to empower communication, to save you time, to eliminate manual errors, and so on. We really believe in transparency and accountability, and using communication on the platform is a really great way to do this. But thank you so much for being with me today on our walkthrough, on our webinar, and I look forward to seeing you all on the platform. Have a wonderful rest of your day.